Good evening, people. Andy Nolt here with another Knowledge Report. This is Knowledge Report number 4, and it's all about Captain Bill and how he was right about aliens. Some of you independent Scientologists might have come across some of the stuff where Captain Bill was talking about aliens. And I just want to say that I've been looking into the topic heaps. Been listening to tons of stuff, people talking about how they apparently got abducted and people saying how they saw a UFO. And I think that Captain Bill is right when he talks about aliens and what he talks about them. Because, I mean, L. Ron Hubbard did mention a little bit about aliens, and a lot of the stuff that he did talk about was a long time in the past, but Captain Bill talked about stuff like in the 80s and the 90s, like current, what's going on with aliens and that sort of stuff. And I just think he's right, and that's why I do like Ron Zorg, just because I like him, Captain Bill, and he seems like he was a successful captain, and he seems like he was a good Scientologist, and I'm a fan of him. You know, I don't know about the Ron Zorg and their OT levels and all that sort of stuff. You don't know really about something until you try it. But I do like them, and I don't think it's a good thing for independents to be like, oh, I hate them, and I like this person, or blah 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 blah. Like, be associated with whatever group you want, but don't hate on each other, like we're all in this together and we're all independents. So, don't fight and that sort of stuff, basically, just, because I just noticed even in Facebook, like there'll be some Facebook groups that are like for independent Scientologists, and then they'll be like, oh, but you can't post anything from Ron Zorg here, or you can't post anything from blah, blah, blah there. And it's just like, just anything to do with Scientology, independent Scientology, just I think things should be a lot more open. Anyway, so about the whole alien thing, there seems to be tons of people seeing UFOs, like just an ridiculous amount. Like even here in Melbourne, where I am, in the 60s, apparently a UFO landed in a school playground, right? I'm not kidding. And it was when recess was on, so the kids were all outside and saw it, and like 200 school kids saw this UFO, and one kid even walked up, like right up to it. I don't think he touched it, but he got within like 5 meters of it or something, and they said it felt like it was hot. Anyway, then it flew away. And it's called the Westall UFO incident. You can watch a documentary on it. It's on YouTube. And it was just a huge mass sighting of a UFO. It was extraordinary. And 20 minutes later, the military and the police all rock up, and they all quarantine the area, and they tell everyone. They literally told the school kids to shut up and not talk about it and not talk to the media. And it was all covered up, and where the UFO landed, they burnt that area of land. It's like out of the movie Men in Black. Like that movie wasn't just fiction. Like this is how amazing things are. So basically, there are UFOs, right? There apparently planets out there are totally populated. There's people on them and that sort of stuff. And they don't look like us, but they also do look just like us. So don't go thinking that just because I could be an alien. For all you know, I could be an alien. Like we look just like them. But there's also that typical type of alien where it's like that small sort of green guy with the big eyes and the big head. That's the most popular type of alien. And then there's apparently there's a reptilian, and there's one that's like an insect that's kind of like tall, and like the alien actually looks like an insect. And then there's these Nordic aliens that apparently look like they're from like Sweden, like they've got really blonde hair and white skin, and they fit in with us very easily. Like you wouldn't be able to spot them. Like if you walk down the street, you wouldn't be able to tell. So I just want to say, I don't think Captain Bill is a nutter. I don't think he's making this stuff up and he's just getting too excited, because tons of people are seeing UFOs. tons of people are claiming they've been abducted. Apparently, there's underground bases where the government, I'm not kidding, where governments are working with aliens underground secretly doing, I wonder what they're doing. Apparently, they're doing mind control technology and just whatever they're doing, they're keeping it secret, so I don't think it's any good. But it all seems to be true, because I looked into this stuff for ages and and then I reached a point where suddenly like the penny dropped and I just said, these people aren't just making this stuff up. Like, there's way too much information. They're all saying like similar things. Like, if someone gets abducted, they say something happened to them, and then someone else on the other side of the world gets abducted and they describe a similar thing that happened to them, and the two people weren't talking, like they describe what the aliens look like and all this sort of stuff. It's just incredible, and especially people from the Midwestern part of America, the western part of America. Man, you guys have just extraordinary amounts of sightings, and there's more alien bases there. That's sort of like a hot place. It's a hotbed for UFO activity, that part of the world. So, this is the world we live in. Like, literally, not only are the governments corrupt and psychiatry is corrupt and all that sort of stuff, but there's also governments with underground bases that are working with aliens, secretly doing stuff. And the media is not allowed to report on UFOs. It's all been kept secret and all this sort of stuff. And that's why I agree with LRH and Captain Bill where they say that this Earth is a prison planet, because it seems like it's a prison. Like, we're being stuck here. They're trying to deny that we're even in a prison, which is a fantastic way to keep prisoners trapped. I mean, that's a genius way. You take a bunch of people, right? You lock them up, then you erase their memory, and then you don't let them work out that they're even in a prison, and you let them think that they're free. And then they're not going to be trying desperately to get out of that prison. They don't like people like me. They don't like Scientologists as well, because Scientologists are trying to find out the truth and are catching on to what's going on. So, it's not like I agree with everything that Captain Bill says, but I think he's definitely onto something with his information. And it's extremely interesting, and so many other people, like people who are non-Scientologists and all that sort of stuff, so many other people agree with what he says. I just want to mention this because, I read something that was by someone who must have done their bridge at Ronsorg. Like, this wasn't written by... It's called The History of TGAC. Like, I really recommend reading it. It's not by Captain Bill, but it's by someone who did their bridge at Ronsorg. And in that, I remember reading it about 8 months ago, before I'd really worked out the truth about this alien stuff. And it almost blew my mind, because I was reading this and I was thinking, wow, imagine if this is actually true. I was just like, whoa. Like, in the history of TGAC, it says that the moon is like a hollowed out satellite or something, and it didn't like evolve there naturally. It got like towed here, which heaps of other people are backing up. Like, David Icke says it as well. Heaps of people are catching on to apparently the moon's not what you think it is. Also, it mentions that the moon landings are fake in it. Actually, I could do a whole nother video on this history of TGAC document, which is a great document. But when I read it, I was just like, whoa, And then it turns out that it's looking like it's true, It's like something like the skeptics and that, like Chris Shelton, if he read the history of TGAC, his jaw would drop and he would just say, this is just absolute lies. Like, this is totally not true. It's just typical conspiracy stuff, but this is just more conspiracy taken onto a universal level instead of just being, on Earth. This is like taking conspiracy to an epic level. And you just wouldn't believe it. And when I first read it, I couldn't believe it as well. But when you actually research it, you start looking at it, you start going, hey, this is this might very much be true. And people who are skeptics might be listening to this and thinking, oh, Andy, he probably could read stuff about flat Earth and start going, oh, flat Earth is probably true. I've looked into flat Earth a little bit and I don't believe it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so it's not like you can just make up any lie and I'll believe it. But this History of TGAC document and the alien stuff that Captain Bill was talking about, it seems to be right. Like, it seems to be correct. So, yeah, I just want to let you all know, to, if someone's talking about out there sort of stuff, don't just dismiss it, Like, I didn't dismiss the flat Earth thing. Like, I at least tried to listen to. I'm going to try and listen to more stuff of it because it's just bizarre. It's the most bizarre thing ever. I actually think it's designed to discredit conspiracies and all this sort of stuff because people, it's giving conspiracies a bad name because it's so ridiculous. But anyway, I think that's all I want to mention. So, like, there's about the whole alien thing. There doesn't really seem to be much that we can do besides, like, supporting the truth about them and supporting trying to get governments to actually tell us what they know. Look up stuff by John Lear. He's really, really interesting and he seems really, really trustworthy. But yeah, so I guess this video is a little bit grim because not only, a psychiatry and a lot of the medical industry are just a lot more corrupt than what you think, but also there's bloody well military and governments that are involved with aliens using their secret technology and they're doing mind control stuff. But anyway, apparently these aliens, they're the ones who are operating the implant machines that wipe our memory in the between lives incidents. So apparently that's how it works. You pass away, you as a spirit, you get caught up in one of their theta traps or whatever, and you have your memory wiped, and then you get born into a baby body again. So that's apparently the truth. That's what's going on. And the average person, so I can talk to about it to you Scientologists because you're catching on to the truth. Like you don't just dismiss it, but the average person has absolutely no idea what's going on, and it's ridiculous. And you try and mention this sort of stuff to them, and some of them just flip out. Like they cannot handle the truth. Like that saying, you can't handle the truth. Like it's just 100% true. They seriously cannot handle the truth. And when I was the same. Like I had to come. Like I wasn't as bad as them. I at least could confront the information about aliens and read it and think with it. But I had to be looking into it for 4 years until I finally said, nah, this can't just be interesting stories that are just being made up. I just got to a point where just the penny dropped and I was like, no, all the information's in. This is true. It's like you're at a court case and you're the jury and they're giving you evidence for why this person's guilty for murdering someone, and they say, this is our piece of evidence, and you go, okay, and they say, this is another piece of evidence, and you go, okay, and they go, this is another one, and you go, okay, but it's still not enough to say that he definitely murdered. And then they say, here's some more evidence, here's some more, and then you go, oh, nah, he must have done it. Look at all that evidence, it's all in now, boom, here's the murderer. It's kind of like that. So I reached that point personally probably about 6 months ago, where suddenly I just looked at all the information, I was just like, no, this isn't bullshit. This is a really serious thing that's going on. And just, the amount of people have seen UFOs. I mean, I've had people come up to me and show me videos on their phone that they've filmed of a UFO. And they don't even know how to do photoshopping. You know what I mean? They don't know. It's on their phone anyway. It's not a fake thing. It's legitimate photos that they showed. It's just true. I mean, I had a psychic lady, I was talking to her, and she told me that she once came out of a hairdresser's, right? and above her and just a normal WOG person who doesn't know anything about what's going on in the world, they just looked up and they saw like one of those UFOs that are like those huge ones that are almost like a little city. Like, they're the size of like football fields. The ones that they show on like X-Files sometimes, not just a normal flying saucer, but the huge ship ones. And the psychic lady was, of course, like, wow, like she'd already seen stuff about them before, so it didn't really blow her mind that much. But the average WOG person who was just next to her, like, it blew her mind. Like, she was just like, and then ever since then, it just totally messed with her because it totally blew her confront, and it was just like, and I don't know if she got into UFOs after that, but I feel like she didn't. I think she was just like, and was so non-confront on it, was just like, okay, just go back to work and continue working, pretend like I didn't see that. I have no, you know what I mean? It was just too much for their reality. And these skeptics, I bet you, if they really had a proper sighting, they would be like that. It would just be too much information for them, and they would just go non-confront, and they would just continue going on. They probably would stop bashing people like me for trying to expose the truth about UFOs, but they definitely, I don't think they'll get into UFOs and start researching them. It's too much for their mind to handle. It's just, people are just aberrated. That's basically it. It's like what L. Ron Hubbard says. He says that some people can't handle the definition of a word because it's like with their case. They can't handle that definition. People are like that with UFOs. They see UFOs, I'm keyed in. I can't handle it. Oh, no. Oh, I'm not seeing it. Like, I don't know how they act like that because it's so bizarre to be that aberrated. I don't know what it's like to have a reactive mind at that level. I know what it's like to be keyed in and feel bad. But these people are like on a new level of aberration. It's just amazing. So yeah, that's my video. And yeah, look, if you disagree with me or you disagree with Captain Bill and his UFO stuff, or if you disagree with Ron's org or any other org, we've got to stick together. Don't bash and argue. Like, I totally disagree with, people about things and that, but it's just like, you can just discuss things, but I don't like this idea of indies fighting other indies. We have to like unite and team up, and we are under the label of independent Scientologists, and I actually think it's a sign of how high-toned we are, the fact that we disagree on things. Because if you look into it, people who agree on all these certain things, they tend to be brainwashed sheep. They tend to be like robots. They tend to be low-toned robots that just think the same as everyone else. But when you get heaps of people who think totally different, it's a sign that they're actually quite uptone and they're switched on and they're thinking independently. So I genuinely think it's a fantastic thing that we've got like Michael Moore who thinks this, and Ralph Hilton who thinks this, and Max Howry who thinks this, and Ada Thomas who thinks that, and Pierre Etier who thinks whatever. Like, it's great that they all think differently because it shows that they're intelligent and they can confront data and they're not brainwashed sheep. Like, isn't that fantastic that we've got these sort of people who are leading the independent movement? I think it's good. I think it's an uptone sign. It's a sign of uptoneness. And anyway, just unite. And we're all friends, basically, So I think that's it for this video. And listen, if you want to find out more information about aliens, check out Coast to Coast AM and listen to their interviews, because it's like a radio show that does a lot of stuff with aliens. And listen to a lot of the interviews from the 90s with Art Bell, because he does really interesting interviews where they really dive into the whole alien thing. Like, literally, apparently people are getting implanted with things. Like, I'm not thought implants. I mean physical implants popped into their body. And like doctors are trying to like remove them and pull them out and stuff, and they actually have them. And it's like, and they get them tested in like laboratories, and it's like they have no idea what it is because it's something it's technology that we don't have on Earth. It's amazing. But I think that if we keep on going on the bridge, remain uptone and positive, I don't think we'll get I don't think we'll get abducted, basically. Anyway,